share that with you. I won't be able to read the whole thing, forgive me, but I will just, so Emily Hauze is a freelance photographer and a writer, but she's most proud of the that she has earned among her wide social media following as the Amriki Sindhiani. That's who I am. She's American white, of white, mostly British heritage, and studied Western culture, particularly German literature and music. During her undergraduate and postgraduate university years, and subsequently worked in public radio in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, you might never, I live in Virginia, and interest in South Asia had always brewed within her, but that interest remained largely unexplored until, what is that some moment in 2011. This was when, by accident or fortune, she came in contact with Sindhi culture via a new friend and social media, and Nisar Khokar, journalist, the great name. She became a friend with him, and then she decided to pursue a different career. She was also a PhD candidate. She had done lots of work and that took lots of courses and everything, and she was about to write the thesis, and she realized that that's not what she wants to do. And so here is our American Sindhiani. I present to you, Emily.
Thank you so much. See if this will make this. Yes, so it was on that laptop, I believe.
This one?
No, the one down.
How's the volume on that? Can you hear me okay? Okay, wonderful. Well, while they're setting that up, I just want to thank all of you so much for having me here today. Thank you to Jamil Dowdy for the invitation. And to all of you, I think it's already a testament to Sindhi tolerance that you invited me to be here among you. Someone who is different, but feels very much at home. Exactly, right? I am. And it's also an honor to be among such distinguished other guests here. I have to say I'm the least accomplished of you, but I will try not to become too starstruck because I think I do have something to offer you all, which is a different perspective on something that for you is very familiar. And a good illustration of the way I've experienced Sindh actually comes from Shakespeare, so please forgive me, I'm going to make Shakespeare an honorary Sindhi just for this moment. Because there's a moment in my favorite of his plays, which is The Tempest. And the young woman, Miranda, has grown up on a secluded and enchanted island. And she's never seen anything of the world outside. But finally, the enchantment of the island, her father has created that enchantment, by the way, to protect her. But his magic is fading, and a ship comes in from outside. And she says the famous line, "Oh, brave new world that has such people in it." And then he responds, the father responds, I think this is just as important, he says, "'Tis new to thee," meaning this is not a new world. She feels that it's a new world. To her it is. But it's actually the world that's always been there. And so for me, I've always felt like Miranda encountering a new world when I come to Sindh. Especially because we know that this is not a new world, but an incredibly ancient world. We all know about the 5,000-year-old culture, right? And I've been to Mohenjo-daro, so I can attest to the ancientness of this wonderful, to me, new world that I'm encountering. So I've prepared 5 things that I love about Sindh. I hope we get a chance to do all 5. You can stop me if we don't quite get there. I could have done far more, but I just picked out 5 things. And I've got photographs, most of them, which I took in Sindh myself. Okay, so let's get started on them. We can go to the first slide. This should be the next one. Okay, so I had to start with Sindhi hospitality. There is nothing in the world like Sindhi hospitality, especially for an American coming for the very first time to an Eastern country. It was absolutely amazing. And actually, for any of you who have come here to America from Pakistan, I want to say I wish I could welcome you in the same way that I was welcomed in Sindh. I wish I could, from my heart I could. When I arrived in Sindh, this is on the left, that's my husband and myself on our very first day. We've been traveling for about 30 hours. We were so tired and it felt very strange, but we were so happy. And we finally met Papa Saeed on the road. I don't think you mentioned the story about, very quickly I have to explain that I've been adopted by a Sindhi family. Papa Saeed is here. Yes. And also my Saeeda Sanki is there, and two of my siblings are here with me. Yes. Yes, okay, so this is the first time that I got to meet Papa in person. And we'd already been given 2 bouquets of roses each, and but we got 2 more bouquets when Papa appeared and he garlanded us. And the other photograph is, I received similar welcomes everywhere I went. That was in Nawab Shah, the second one, literally being showered with rose petals, and what a dream that was. And I wish I could do that for all of you here. Shower you all with the same number of roses. But our roses here don't smell as good as the ones in Sindh. They really don't, right? Sindhi roses are amazing. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So this shows you my rebirth as a true Sindhiani, as a true Sangi. You can see me here with my Ami. We're sitting in the house of the new house of my sister who had just gotten married the day before. I think you can see there the genuine love that my Ami feels for me and that I feel for her. And that this is a true familial relationship. Even though I was born here, no biological connection, there still is a very real connection. Okay, let's go to the next one. And this is when I went for the first time with Papa to our ancestral village of Vikyasangi, where I was treated with just as much respect and honor by all of the villagers there. It was wonderful. It was a sunny December afternoon that I spent with them drinking tea and enjoying their company. Okay, the next slide. Now, since I've been asked to be critical, which is difficult for me because I have so many good things to say about Sindh, I have also picked out some sort of negative sides to talk about here. There's nothing negative about Sindhi hospitality, but there is the issue of intimidation. That this is kind of how many Westerners think of Pakistan, think that this is too dangerous. I can't go there. Even some among you, I think people who have lived here for a while are even kind of afraid to go back to Sindh at times because of security issues. And there are some real concerns there, but at the same time, part of that is just an issue of image. And I felt incredibly safe the whole time I was in Pakistan. But of course, I was also guarded. I was well guarded. The picture here shows our arrival. Before we went to Larkana, we stopped in Hyderabad for breakfast at the Indus Hotel. And we were kind of amazed to see that even guarding a hotel, there were a couple of guys with really big guns looking very intimidating. That's part of the image that needs to change in the West. And also, of course, it does mark certain problems in the country, obviously. It's not an entirely safe country, so that's somewhere to go with that. Okay, let's go on to the next. And like I had, but I think there's a lot of training that could happen with traditional Sindhi methods if there were some way to do that in a more organized way. So that's my suggestion for that. Number 4, the language. I do love the Sindhi language. I think probably everybody who has noticed me here in these different talks, which have been all in Sindhi, probably all been thinking, how much does she understand, right? And the answer to that is, I say it's about half. But it's not always the right half. But yes. But I will learn. I am absolutely determined to learn Sindhi. I'm learning slowly. And the picture that I've chosen for this is Sahar Shah. I'm sure most of you know her, a famous poet whom I got to meet at the home of my friend Johnny Abro at a mushaira last year. And the very special thing about this, I had never met her before, but she took me in and treated me like her own daughter. And I sat next to her on the couch with this notebook, and I was sounding out what she had written in Sindhi characters. I can read Sindhi characters, and but I can hardly pronounce it. And so she was helping me to pronounce it, and it was like a new childhood. I've learned a number of languages before. I love languages, but Sindhi is the only one into which I feel like I'm being reborn as a new person, almost. Thank you. One more picture on this topic from the same night. We've got Hassan Mushtabag, a friend of mine, and also Noor, is your Noor Shah, and in the Xavier there. And this also gives you the sense of the way the Sindhi language creates a family out of people who are not necessarily family. And being around, listening to poetry that I couldn't understand very much of at all at the time, it didn't matter that I couldn't understand it necessarily because I was still being included. And that was a beautiful thing. Okay, next slide. How to improve it? Sindhi is hard. Sindhi is not an easy language, especially for someone like me coming from an English-speaking background. There are a few resources out there, but not very many. There's a pretty good textbook that was written several decades ago. I think it needs to be updated. These are a couple of my treasures. One of them is edited by Ms. Hussein, who is here, and I'm really glad to see you because I knew you from this book. That's a beautiful trilingual edition of selections from the Shador Sala. And I also have a complete version, which is English and Sindhi. Even so, I think there's a lot of improvement and more translation that could be done even of those basic texts. And I have a secret plan that's not a secret anymore because I'm going to tell you, which is that once I've learned Sindhi, maybe 10 years from now, I would love to write a new textbook for English speakers. That's something I would like to contribute. And the very last thing doesn't even have a downside. So the very last bit, the thing I love about Sindh, we can go on, is the spirit, the enthusiasm. I think the enthusiasm more than anything else has brought me to you all. These are just some of the bright, brilliant children of Vidya Sanghi. And one last picture is here at Shah, which is, I think, embodies the gentle, tolerant spirit of Sindh. And I will leave it there. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry I hate doing this green and red stuff. It's a very unpopular thing to do, but I'm the bad guy now. So.